Hey everyone, this is Chris Cozzolino, the co-founder and head of services at Uptown Creation, a B2B marketing and business development company. And so today what I'm going to be talking about is how to keep track and stay organized of leads and outreach activities on LinkedIn, and specifically using functions of the LinkedIn Sales Navigator. So the main features I'll be talking about today are the lists functionality and the save searches functionality, and how you're able to utilize both of those tools together to keep track of all of the work that you're doing on LinkedIn in the best possible way. So it's obviously important to keep track of the work that you're doing from a business and reporting standpoint, but also from a functionality standpoint to make sure that you're not duplicating work, but also that you're able to build the asset of LinkedIn and the pipeline that you can look back at in 6 months and be able to do something with that data. So what I'm going to be showing you is how to move somebody along through a pipeline that you create, and then the functionality of that pipeline as you get 3, 6, 9, 12 months down the road, and you're able to look back at these thousands of leads that you have in your pipeline that you can reach back out to. So the first thing that I'll do is start by going to the lists area in LinkedIn Sales Navigator. So before I get started talking about lists, the feature that LinkedIn had before lists was called tags. So that was the feature that historically most people used to keep track of things on LinkedIn Sales Navigator. As of October of 2020, LinkedIn decided that lists was duplicating that functionality. So they had lists and tags, which were just creating or solving the same problem rather. So they got rid of tags entirely as of December 31st of 2020, and you'll never be able to use tags again. So if you're used to using tags in the past and you're not able to find those now, you're not going crazy. They just don't exist anymore. So lists is going to be that go-to area for keeping track of the work that you do on LinkedIn. So if we go to the lists section, I'll point out a couple things. So you'll notice that it says lead lists and account lists. So what lead lists is individuals and people. Account lists are companies that you're able to add to the list. So for the purposes of this video, I'll stay focused on lead lists. Then you'll also notice these lists that have already been created. Up in the upper right, you'll notice the create lead list button, which this will allow you to create new lists to keep track of leads. You'll see that I have this share button. If you're on a LinkedIn team subscription with other people, you're able to actually share these lead lists with other people on your team, as well as data within the leads, such as notes that you take. If you are on an individual subscription, then you can ignore this because that won't pertain to you. Furthermore, you'll see in the upper right-ish area here, My Saved Leads. When you're on the LinkedIn Sales Navigator Professional license, you'll only be able to save 1,500 leads to that list, or to that area rather. Whereas on the team subscription, you'll be able to save 5,000 leads. So I'd recommend starting off on professional maybe, but then upgrading into teams, because teams is really going to be the number of leads that you want to be able to keep track of. 5,000 is substantially more than 1,500, and that's really the amount you're going to need. So let's jump into the functionality of LinkedIn lists. So I'm going to click into one of the lists that I already created, and you'll see that I can see the people's names, their titles. The account just means the company that they work for. Geography, which is really valuable. This notes section, which I'll touch on. Outreach activity, as well as the date that they were added to the list. So let's start off by talking about this notes section, because it really makes LinkedIn more like a CRM than just like a searching tool. So LinkedIn is making a big push to make sure that not only are you able to go to LinkedIn to find people, but also to keep track as you move them along that pipeline. What I recommend using notes for is for follow-up activities. If somebody that you reach out to after sending a connection request tells you to follow up at a later date, I'd recommend leaving a note in that case, and then also adding them to another list that you title follow-up. So Let's go back to the list section and make 4 lists that I would recommend everybody to have. So the first list is connection requests sent. You'll add somebody to this list after you send them a connection request. The second list will be message 1 sent. So this will be somebody that you'll add to this list after you send an initial outreach message to them. The third list will be titled responded. And so you'll add people to this list after you've sent a message to them and then they respond back to you. This will be really valuable for knowing who you need to follow up with that you've already started a dialogue with versus who's never responded to you in the first place. The final list that you'll create is titled follow up. And you'll add anybody who either specifically says follow up with me at this time or that you feel would just be a really good fit for whatever you're trying to outreach for at that given time. So these are the 4 lists that I'd recommend everybody create. And then you can start using saved searches to add people to this list. So let's go over to the saved searches area and click on this all filters button. Let's say that I'm trying to search for pharmacists in the United States. I would add United States to geography and then pharmacist to title. And that'll give me 150,000 people. And so for anybody that has watched my videos before, they'll know I like to do the targeting based off of the people who have posted on LinkedIn in the last 30 days. I like this because I know that I'm then reaching out to the most active people on LinkedIn. So what I'll do then is go to a list of 25 people. There's 25 people on every page, and I'll save all these people to that list I created called connection requests sent. Then what I'll do is I'll go down the list and send connection requests until I've hit all 25 of these people. Then people will start accepting that connection request, and I'll be able to filter that in my lead lists. So if I go back to lists then, and then I'll go to one of the connection requests sent lists that I've created. As people start accepting my connection request, you'll start to see notes in outreach activity that say invitation accepted. And then you'll see an activity log there that'll also keep track of all the correspondences, whether they send you a message or you send them a message. So when somebody accepts that connection request, you'll go ahead and send a message. So this will be whatever you're trying to do, whether it's drive awareness to what your personal brand is and what you're building, or if it's actually a hard sell or something that you think that you can help somebody with. This is where you'd go ahead and send that message. And then once that message is sent, you'll click the 3 dots and hit add to another list. And you'll add them to message 1 sent. Then once that person responds to you in the LinkedIn Sales Navigator inbox, you'll go ahead and go to their profile and add them to the responded list. And this will make sure that you're keeping track of the people you have had dialogue with versus the people who have never responded to you. If somebody mentions that they want you to follow up with them, that's when you're able to use this note section. Add a note for follow up 1/2021 if they say to follow up in January of 2021. And then also go ahead and add them to the list called follow up. And this will make sure that not only do you have the time frame to follow up with them, but you also have them organized in a list that is easy to keep track of. If you do this type of activity for 3, 6, 9, 12 months, you'll have thousands of people built into this pipeline of not only ideal leads, if you're using the search functionality the right way and sending out the right connection requests, you'll also have people that you've started conversations with, people who have told you to follow up with them, people who have told you no, but maybe they see your content and now they're ready and willing to engage in a conversation about whatever you're trying to do. And that really becomes the power of the LinkedIn Sales Navigator. It's one thing to have the search tools, but it's another thing to be able to keep track as you move them along a pipeline. Hopefully this was helpful. If you have any questions, reach out to me on LinkedIn. My name is Chris Cozzolino, or you can leave a comment in the comment section below.